Elena Panova, the UN resident coordinator in Egypt, has warned that violence against women and girls has devastating immediate and long-term consequences that threatens the development efforts, especially after COVID-19 crisis. Panova said that ending this behavior requires that everyone works jointly to confront and address this problem. It cannot be achieved by the government alone, by civil society alone, or by international development partners alone. It is our shared responsibility and we all have a role to play. She added that the UN country team in Egypt defends the rights of women and girls to enjoy equal rights in living free of violence and reaching their full potential through the strategic and coordinated approach within the country. She also reaffirmed the world body's commitment to continue working together with government of Egypt and the community to address the root causes of violence against women and girls in a comprehensive and effective manner. Her remarks came during an event organized by the National Council for Women in partnership with the UN Women Egypt, the European Union delegation to Egypt, and the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands in Egypt to commemorate the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence under the global theme, Orange, the World End Violence Against Women Now. The event took place with the backdrop of the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization lit up in orange to symbolize a brighter future free from violence for women and girls, and in the presence of the United Nations Under-Secretary General and UN Women Executive Director, Ms. Sima Bahous, on her first official visit since assuming her role earlier this year. A recorded speech by Maya Morsi, President of the National Council for Women, was presented as part of the ceremony, in which she stated, "On the 16 days of activism to combat violence against women and girls, I am urging every Egyptian girl and woman to be aware of her rights and claim them, and to know well that she is living in a golden era in a country which its president declared that he is a minister of women, and that it is not possible to promote and fully protect human rights without protecting women's rights and empowering them." The high-level event included keynote speeches by Rania Mashad, Minister of International Cooperation of Egypt, Christian Berger, head of the European Union delegation to Egypt, and Hannah Moritz Schapalveled, Ambassador of the Netherlands to Egypt.
Right, welcome back. And yes, indeed, as Dr. Maya Morsi, head of the National Council for Women, said that we are living in a golden era where the president himself spoke or declared that he himself is the minister for women, and that it's not possible to promote and fully protect human rights without protecting women's rights and empowering them, and hence the file of women were really put as a high priority part of the vision for sustainable development, and part of that is investing in women. Let me have with me here Dr. Jamila NAsr, member of the National Council for Women. Good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening to you, Dr. Jamila. And we're speaking about a national strategy to combat violence against women that was put or was adopted in 2015, but the National Council for Women was part of the committee that has worked for such a strategy. Now, let me take here the pillars of this strategy, and in parallel, the pillars of the national strategy for empowering women, because both go in parallel.
Hello, good evening. Well, it's very well known that Egypt is maybe in the first launches the national strategy for Egyptian women empowerment in the year 2030. This is very good, and actually we know that Egypt has become the first country to launch its own national strategy for empowerment of women, in line with the UN Sustainable Development Goals adopted by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in the year 2017. The President of the National Council of Women, Maya Morsi, has announced it. Actually, this strategy involves four main dimensions, and of course, it really reviewed this strategy, the Egypt's efforts in the field of women empowerment. Of course, it had made a remarkable progress in this area in the few years, as well as gender equality during the past 6 years. This is especially thanks to the state political, will, which was translated women's constitutional rights into laws, strategies, and executive programs. So really, this very important. There were several laws and legislation that have been approved and amended to ensure equal opportunities for Egyptian women, including, of course, the inheritance laws and criminalizing the deprivation of women and their inheritance, the laws, many other issues for the women. Also, Egypt is also maybe the second country to ever launch the Gender Equality Seal Award for private and public institutions. This was again a very important item. Also, of course, as we know that there was also there was great Egyptian efforts during the spread of the coronavirus pandemic, and the government has prioritized working on financial inclusion for women. It's very important. Again, it has been very important, and of course, there was an establishment. The Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli said recently issued a decision to establish a unit for the protection of women from violence. It was just a victory of women's rights as well. So also the cultural exchange programs between Arab Japanese youth organized by the Arab Women Organization and many other many other aspects of women empowerment, and this is actually a lot, and we are very proud to be Egypt launched the national strategy, the first country in the world in this issue.
Dr. Jamila, when we speak about the phases of protecting women against violence or protecting her against abuses, there are many phases for the violence against women or the abuse of women, and hence the country has put several issues or several ways to protect her. So there have been some presidential initiatives.
Yes, we had initiative, of course. Maybe I guess I'll tell you today that we had in the venue of the National Council of Women in Cairo, we had just a very important scientific meeting, and it's just talking about the violence in women, and just discussed with the females and women from all age groups and from different cultural and educational backgrounds, the importance of violence, and of course, it just it really put some important to be discussed with these ladies. So I think the National Council for Women had done a lot of many meetings, and looking for empowering women against
exactly.
of course, the violence.
Yes,
And
this very
of course,
particular part of what you respectively said, empowering women. And that in itself was something very important, since there have been several leadership initiatives of this concern, including financing women who are in need, including the Haya Karima, or decent life, in which women were included in this file by orders of the leadership. In also those health initiatives that were made, this breast cancer campaign that took place, the 1 million health issue, also women was on top of that. How do you view those initiatives, and how were they part of preventing or protecting women, or giving women a chance for a better, safe environment?
I'll tell you something, because you know, I'm General Secretary of the Egyptian Society of Cardiology, being a professor of cardiology as well. I'll tell you something very important. This year, when the European Society of Cardiology is talking about the health, it put in consideration the environment. So environment is a part of the health of any country, and this is what Egypt is doing now. So as you have said, the environment is very important. Regarding, of course, we know that Egypt is known for its enriched and large civilization that evolved more than 5,000 years ago. It's one of the oldest exceptional civilizations, as we all know. And following the ancient Egyptian civilization roots, of course, we know that Egypt has emerged as an important state in today's changing dynamics of international affairs. This is very important. And of course, as we know that for more than 1 decade, Egypt's internal policies have been strengthened due to its structural reforms, and and from these since, of course, as we have known, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi have declared that the year 2017 to be the year of women.
Yes.
It was very shown that that Egypt is leaving no stone unturned to promote women's rights.
Right. Right. Unfortunately, my time is out here. Dr. Jamila NAsr, member of the National Council for Women, we thank you so much for being with us tonight. Tonight we were supposed to host the greatest female model for Egyptian women, Dr. Ambassador Mirvat Tillawi, the first Arab woman to be Under Secretary General for the United Nations, the Executive Secretary of the Economic, or the former Executive Secretary of the Economic and Social Commission for West Asia, 2001 till 2007, the first Secretary General of the National Council for Women in January 2000, the first woman ambassador for the Diplomatic Corps in Egypt, the Director General of the Arab Women Organization in 2014, member of the Committee of 50 for drafting the Constitution of Egypt, President of the National Council for Women, again in 2012, coordinator for the first Arab Economic Summit. I mean, here she was really one of the most important women, or role model for the Egyptian women, and she participated in the United Nations General Assembly Declaration on protecting of women and children in time of armed conflicts in 1974. Unfortunately, she was not able to come because of an emergency case, but we hope everything is well, and I guess that takes us to the end of this episode. Until next Sunday with another important debate, it's good night.